I've raised it as high as it goes and I still feel low. All right, are we
Yeah, but
starting?
look, I mean, it's at the same.
I know, I just feel short. Okay, are we ready to start?
I am a go.
We're live.
Ready?
45 seconds.
We're not allowed to start early.
Nope, got half a second, half a minute.
30 seconds.
I don't know what they are here
6 o'clock on my watch.
It's mine too.
for. 6 o'clock.
Good evening. We're going to call this meeting to order. This is the February 3rd, 2025 Bath Charter Township Board of Trustees meeting. Happy Black History Month. I encourage my colleagues to turn your microphones on so folks can hear us at home and in the audience. And with that, we'll start a roll call.
Mr. Fuensbliss?
Here.
Ms. Butler-Challenger here. Ms. Wilson?
Here.
Ms. Hagerman?
Here.
Ms. Kellerman?
Here.
Mr. Kotke?
Here.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Here.
Second to last. Item 2 on the agenda is a civic reflection. We'll start with a pledge of allegiance and follow up with a moment of silence. So please rise if you are able to join us. Thank you. Now a moment of silence. Thank you. Welcome to our audience members. If you'd like to follow along, there should be extra copies of the agenda there on the lectern that are for your use. We are now on item 3, which is approval of the agenda. I have not heard of any changes to the agenda. I have one to propose, but does anybody else have thoughts? I would propose we move the new business items for introduction, discussion, fire department assessment from introduction, discussion to items for action. Since the board has discussed this issue and we want to get moving on it, I would propose that we would move it down to large B, little a before we go into the closed session.
And what number is that you're moving?
14.
So
Okay.
14AA becomes
Yeah, the new-
14BA.
The fire.
Should you all agree with that? And I'll make a motion then to approve the agenda with that edit.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any comments, questions, discussion to be had? All right, hearing none, we'll take a voice vote. All those in favor of the amended agenda, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? All right, motion carries. That brings us to item number 4, disclosures of conflict of interest. Does anyone have a conflict of interest for tonight's business to disclose? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to item 5, which is public statement. For those in the audience who would like to make a public statement, you may rise and head to the lectern. You will be given up to 3 minutes on topics pertaining to tonight's agenda. There will be a second opportunity for public statement at the end of the meeting where you will be given an additional 3 minutes to talk about any topic under the sun you would like to tell the board about. But the first public statement is about agenda-related items only. I see we have our first public to speak. Take it away.
Good evening. My name is Judy Gardy, and I represent Friends of Park Lake, and I live on Park Lake Road. There's no microphone here, so I'll speak up. I'd just like to thank you for the discussion that you had at the last meeting on the nature trail and the grants and the possibilities that are available to us as a community through bringing additional revenue, additional resources into our community to work on our parks. I will also say that we as an organization certainly support the soft trail down Park Lake Road to make access to the recreational facilities that we have down there safer for our community. I would hope that we could get back to the discussion that we started last 2 weeks ago on access to the trail through the Oak Park housing development down there. And I hope that those conversations are going well with the leadership of Oak Park so that we can access the trail at that area. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ms. Gardy. Are there other folks in the audience who would like to address the board? All right. We'll move on to item 6, items from county, state, federal, and other agencies. I don't see any agencies in the audience. Were we expecting anyone? No? All right.
You should have had an email from county. He didn't email you?
Who?
Anyway, Parks and Green Space. He wanted to tell you something about the agenda item on I'll sing it in a second, DNR grants. You gotta stop reading and trying to talk. at the
Are you
same
talking about
time.
Dwight?
No, I'm talking about Thornton, Kyle Thornton.
Oh, I don't know who that is.
Well, he's the administrator for the Parks and Green Space Commission of the county.
Oh, I didn't know there was such a thing.
There is.
An administrator, like a paid staff member?
Yeah, 100%.
Hi, I'm a little bit late.
Oh.
I didn't understand what was exactly on the agenda. I'm new at this. But I understand there's some discussion about, or decision to be made about access to the lake, handicap access to the lake.
Can we get your name and,
Oh, Kathy Motica.
thank you.
I've been a resident here for 30 years, 35 years. And I just wanted to give my input on that. My question is, was there handicap accessible for kayakers on the lake? Am I correct on thinking that that was one of the decisions?
Are you talking about the kayak
The
launch?
kayaking, the
No.
kayak launch, which would, that's potential
Potential.
handicap accessible, yeah.
So my question is, what is the public interest in that? Have you had people requesting that we have that kind of access to the lake? And then also, I don't know I understand it's fairly expensive, and I think that money could be used for, I'm all about curb appeal, and I think we have kind of not a lot of curb appeal around the lake, and I think that we could better utilize some of that money for that. The other thing is, I don't know if you're familiar, but the Looking Glass River has that kind of thing that you're thinking of discussing about on their river up in DeWitt. And I don't know if you've ever seen it or been out there, but I've been out there several times. And most of the time I've been out there, it's been underwater, covered with leaves and dirt. No one's, they're not keeping it up, and I've never seen anybody actually use it. So that's just my 2 cents. I'm not a big proponent of it. If there's something you have to follow in terms of the ADA or some kind of, sub-context or something where you have to follow that through. But and I'm not against people with disabilities. I'm a registered nurse. But I just think that what is the public demand for it? And can that money be used in a more, efficient way for everyone on the lake? And that's just my comments. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Motika. I did find an email from Kyle from this afternoon. It is to Dwight and CC'd to me, but I think
Well,
it's
it's supposed to be the
okay
opposite.
for me to read this out loud.
Yeah, if you want to do that when the agenda item comes up, that's fine.
Yep, that makes more sense. Thank you.
Well, you don't have to have my opinion, my permission, but.
I always have to have your opinion.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't see any items on the consent agenda, is that right?
Yep, correct.
Okay. Item 8 is approval of minutes. We have minutes from the Board of Trustees meeting from January 21st.
Motion to approve?
We have a motion to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion about the minutes from our last meeting? All right, hearing none, we'll take a voice vote. All those in favor of approving the minutes from the Board of Trustees meeting of January 21st, 2025, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. That brings us to the approval of vouchers. We're still in the time of the beginning of the year where we have vouchers from both fiscal year '24 and fiscal year '25. We want to take those separately, right?
Together.
Oh, together, okay. So if anyone wants to make a motion, you could do it separately or together.
I'll make a motion to approve the vouchers as presented.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to approve both sets of vouchers. Is there any discussion, questions? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Mr. Funes Bliss?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Kotke?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Ms. Hagerman?
Yes.
Thank you.
Item 10 is a treasurer's report. No treasurer's report today. The next one will be in April. Item 11 is committee appointments. I do have two committee appointments. One is a reappointment, one is an appointment. First is the reappointment of Race O'Connell to the Park Lake Advisory Board with a term ending December 31st, 2027. Race has been on the committee for a bit of time. He termed out there at the end of December, and this is a reappointment for him. The second is an appointment of Brett Coulter to the Planning Commission. Brett's here with us today. If we'd like him to say hi to us, with a term ending December 31st, 2027. Both the Planning Commission Chair, John, and I sat down with Brett, a couple weeks ago or last week, time means nothing anymore, recently, to interview him, and was really impressed with his experience. You've got that in your packet. I think you probably would agree with that. So I am asking you to approve both Race and Brett tonight.
I'll make that motion to approve both appointments,
I'll second.
reappointment and appointment.
Can we do it separately?
You want me to?
Please.
Okay, I would like to make the motion to reappoint Race O'Connell to the Park Lake Advisory Board.
I
And
will
can I make
second
another
that.
motion now?
No, you
You
gotta
gotta
wait.
vote. You gotta do them. All right, so Kate seconded it.
Yes.
So we have a motion and a second for the first appointment or reappointment. Is there any discussion there? All right, hearing none, we'll take a voice vote. All those in favor of the reappointment of Race O'Connell to the Park Lake Advisory Board with a term ending December 31st, 2027, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Welcome back to the plab, my friend. Next up then is the appointment of Brett Coulter. Brett, did you want to say hi? Great, sufficient. Would anybody like to make a motion about
I
that?
would like to make the motion to appoint Brett Coulter to the Planning Commission for a
Second.
term ending December 31st, 2027.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a couple seconds there. Any discussion, questions about this appointment? All right, hearing none, we'll take another voice vote. All those in favor of the appointment of Brett Coulter to the Planning Commission with a term ending December 31st, 2027, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, welcome to the Planning Commission, sir. Had no idea what you were getting into. Item 12 is Township Committee reports. We have none of those tonight, which brings us to item 13, unfinished business. There are no items for introduction and discussion, but there are several items for action. The MISHDA Grant Award acceptance is first, and we have our planner Miles here for that. Is the microphone broken? Is
Yeah.
that the situation?
We have ordered a new one from IT and are awaiting its arrival.
I'll talk loud. So, yeah, thanks for coming to the planning commission, we look forward to it. I think it's gonna be a good fit. On the MISHDA grant award acceptance, we received the grant for $50,000 to help us conduct comprehensive planning efforts in the year of 2025, 2026. So we're excited about it. Hopefully we can put it to good use and get a good result out of it. Appreciate being able to go for that. And I want to give a shout out to up here to the Plain County Catalyst, who helps us in a lot of our grant writing efforts as well.
Thank you.
No, thank you guys.
Are there questions for Miles on the acceptance of this award?
I think we should congratulate you.
Go ahead.
Congratulations, Miles. You did well, Grasshopper.
We gotta accept this, right?
We have to
Yes.
make a motion, yeah.
I move we accept the grant.
Great, the Mr. Grant, yeah. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion?
Ray. Second?
What?
Who made the second?
Ray.
Ray, yes.
I'll put in the, vote for the amount of $50,000.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, well, we should take a roll call vote on this one. All right, motion and second. Any more discussion? Hearing none, roll call vote.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Mr. Funes Bliss?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Kotke?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Ms. Hagerman?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Thank you.
Happy no one voted no on free money. Thanks, Miles. Next up is number 13, unfinished business, B, items for action, small b, second reading and adoption of zoning ordinance amendment number 31.89, the fee schedule. We've already heard about this in a discussion. We have passed it on the first reading. I won't ask Miles to come up and say anything more unless there's further questions or concerns about this, since we have seen it twice before. Looks like folks are feeling sufficient. Is anyone wanting to move this forward by motion?
I'll make the motion.
Second.
Approve that zoning ordinance amendment, number 31.89.
Great, thank you. We have a motion to approve it, a second by Al. Any other discussion? Let's go to a roll call vote then.
Mr. Funes Bliss?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Kotke?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Ms. Hagerman?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes.
Thank you. Now we have the adoption of the fee schedule. We sort of heard of that before, but why don't you remind us just a little bit about that, Miles, since we're doing that in sequence order.
All right, yeah, so if everybody remembers, it was under the like legal counsel that we decoupled these two, so we took the amendment, which we just voted on, and then there was a fee schedule that was meant to be coupled with that, we're taking that as a separate item. We just made a couple minor changes, as the planning department often does. We amend our fee schedule, I would say more often than it seems like some other fee schedules get amended. That's just because it's a dynamic department and we have a lot going on that we like to respond to. One of the main emphases for this fee schedule change, which came with a language change that we just voted on, was in relation to the escrow amounts that we were taking in, just due to the nature of rising costs, which I think we should all be aware of. We all see it at the grocery store. Well, it turns out that professional fees and services have also gone up quite a bit. Legal counsel fees, engineering, review fees, and so when a development comes, into the township, we will collect an escrow account that we hold, and then as we evaluate the development, we charge that account for those professional services. What's happened recently is we take in $2,000, let's say, for the escrow account, almost immediately we're above $2,000 in review fees. So then the township staff is struggling with the applicant and trying to just bill on a direct basis, and it kind of subverts the whole impetus for the escrow account being established in the first place, and just basically causes a lot of work on the staff side and on the development side. So we'd like to forego the limit of the $2,000 and allow a little bit of discretion on what that escrow account should be set at, and there are limits that we built in depending on the scale of the development. Another trend that's led us in this direction is, historically speaking, the developments that were being proposed in that township were of a certain scale. So, like let's say 20 housing units or 40 housing units, or a warehouse that is 20,000 square feet. Now we're reviewing warehouses that are much larger than that. We're reviewing developments that are much larger than that. So our scale is going up these days, and we need to reflect that in the fees we're charging. So I think that's a good synopsis of what we're trying to do here.
Yes. Questions? Any concerns?
It's a lot of work.
Well, it is a dynamic department, you heard.
Exactly.
Is there a maximum? Or is this just,
Maximum what fee
yeah,
for
deposit?
No.
Escrow? This legal
Oh, for
deposit.
escrow, okay.
Okay.
I think it's at the discretion of the board
Yeah.
based on the particular project.
And didn't we
This
say
board.
something, Miles, that we could amend that if need be for special situations or
We're
something?
still special situations, so we'd still be taking in our standard installments, which we take in now, which is $2,000. So when they apply, $2,000 will be due. If we exceed that $2,000, then obviously a request for another $2,000 will be made with no longer a cap. Now, obviously, if we're not taking in a ton of fees because it's just a simple development, there's not a lot of review to be done, then we're not gonna just keep taking in escrow for no reason that we have to refund. What this does though, is it does remove the cap, so if we have a development come in that we for sure know right out of the gate is gonna cost at least $10,000 to review, then as a part of the site plan review process, how this would work moving forward is the planning commission, as you've seen in the past, when these special use developments will come to you guys, there will be a list of conditions. One of those conditions in the future will be a higher than normal escrow amount recommendation. So the planning commission may recommend to the board, we recommend taking an escrow of $15,000 to review a development of this scale. And then this body is able to now have the authority to execute that condition, where before you were limited by our ordinance.
Great, thank you. Good question, Jerry. Other questions? All right. Does someone want to put a motion forward?
I'll make the motion to adopt the new schedule of fees.
Second. Go ahead, Alan.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Catke?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Ms. Hagerman?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Mr. Funes Bliss?
Yes. Motion carries. Thank you. That brings us to item D, which is the second reading and adoption of ordinance amendment number 45.01. That's the land division ordinance that we have been talking about. Again, I'll save Miles having to repeat things to us since we have heard about this twice, unless anybody has any particular questions or concerns moving forward. Looks like we're good. Anyone want to put a motion forward?
I'll make the motion to adopt the ordinance amendment number 45.01.
I'll second.
We have a motion and a second for the second reading and adoption of ordinance amendment 4501. Are there any questions? Discussion? Hearing none, we'll go to a roll call vote.
Mr. Catke?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Ms. Hagerman?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Mr. Funes Bliss?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
All right, that brings us to the last item under unfinished business items for action, the DNR Trust Fund Grant. Ben wants to talk about this?
Saw him sneak in there.
Ben Z, Public Works, Parks and Public Works Director. So last meeting, you guys asked to submit a grant form for a DNR Trust Fund grant for the Park Lake project encompassing the trail, the boat ramp project, kayak launch, and the sidewalk. So after looking through the grant guidelines, I found a couple of things. I know we talked about matching funds, being able to use property acquisition. I found that we can't use property acquisition as matching funds. So that was my first thing. So then I started digging through some more, and I had some other concerns regarding all the projects and being able to meet those guidelines within this year. I think that there's a lot of planning that needs to be done for these projects, and that it would be better to do that planning over the course of this year and apply it next year for these grants. I did turn in a grant form for the boat ramp, Wiswasser Park, the kayak launch, the pickleball court, all as one project. I think that it would qualify, and we'd right there at the maximum amount, roughly $500,000 for the whole project. And that's, like I said, just preliminary numbers that I got for engineering they're based on the engineering that I got for the Wiswasser Park project. So I kind of reflected those numbers for boat ramp engineering cost, and then included the cost for the kayak launch and the pickleball court in that grant. The same things go for that grant that I looked at this as a huge project to take on in 2 months before this April 1st deadline. So I just have some current concerns with meeting that deadline and putting in a solid grant application. Like I said, it'd be my recommendation to do our planning and put in for these next year.
Okay, thank you. Questions, comments from the board? Ray?
Did you have a notion as to where the matching funds would come from for your $500,000 DNR trust fund?
I don't, and that was
Okay.
that was part of the problem with this whole, that was my first, like, pump the brakes, like, where are we gonna get these matching funds? We haven't had any discussion on it, whether it's, general fund, or we're, seeking other donations, or anything like that. We haven't had those conversations yet, and I would like to have those conversations before we went forward with any of these grants.
There's a meeting of the DNR Trust Fund Commission on February 12th, I believe it is, and I'm going to attend that on DNR Trust Fund's administrator's recommendation to ask them an appeal, basically, so that we can use parcels that we've acquired through cash, as matching funds. I really don't understand their logic in disallowing them, because, if we saved all that money up, potentially those properties would double in value. So Karen, she kind of grabs them when the, carpe diem. When you tell her, hey, this house is for sale, you better get it before it goes on the market. And we do that, and yet they won't let us use it for the trust fund that we're, and correct me if I'm wrong, Karen, but what your idea is to utilize that land for.
I would note that some of those are not obtained for market value. They are
Oh, no.
obtained, some of them are obtained through foreclosure,
Right.
taxes at the county. So
And-
I would note that sometimes the amounts are significantly less than market.
And that is the dichotomy there. I mean, it would seem that would be outrageously more advantageous to the trust fund foundation, because, if we got a foreclosure for $12,000 and it's a $100,000 property, then, 12,000 is now 100,000. So I guess it would behoove the state and that foundation to go that way. And I don't see the logic in it, so I'm going to ask them, if possibly they would consider an appeal, and if not unilaterally, then at least, within the last year, then you could get maybe $100,000 in there. But that was pretty much it. And one other thing I wanted to say about this is that, Karen, I asked the question last year specifically about what the purpose of buying those along the lake was, and you said for a sidewalk. And I said, a pathway, or a trail, or a sidewalk? And you said sidewalk. And I knew sidewalks were not eligible. So if we called this whole thing, Troy Feldman started it back in 2012, I just researched, getting a trail around Park Lake that would encompass the north, the south, and everything. If you called it that, a trail per se, then I think it would fly. And also, you had mentioned possibly applying for a TAP grant. One of the reasons we did not in the past apply it, or even consider applying, is because if you apply for a TAP grant for a trail, it has to be 16 feet wide and paved, a minimum of 2 inches, and so does the boardwalk have to be 16 feet wide. I mean, you could drive an 18-wheeler down that thing, but that's what they require on each side, 2 lanes going both ways.
Actually, there's TAP grant money that's being used on Webster Road, and those are not the conditions that we have to.
Well, I'm talking about a trail.
Okay.
Yeah.
But we have one on Webster Road that currently do not have to meet those conditions.
That's good. Yeah.
But it has to be ADA
Yes.
compliant?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct.
Okay.
So, no other questions? Thanks.
I was just wondering, would this effort benefit from maybe considering some sort of grant writing professional to advise in the process?
You mean like a consulting firm?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I mean,
Ryan, do you
I
have
agree
anything to
it's a
say
lot of
about
work.
that?
I know you have more time if you're pushing it a year off. But still, just
Why don't you
wondering, I don't know if
say
that's
what you
something
wanna
we
say
can talk about.
My opinion would be, yes, that would be helpful, for sure, somebody that specializes in this. You know, we're setting our day job aside to do this, and would have to do, you know, a significant amount of work on the clock here. And that's gonna take away from our departments, and, you know, I think I listed 4 people in there.
Right.
It's gonna take a lot of work to, not saying that we're not up to the task, but I think that would be a significant issue trying to push it to. this
So
deadline.
something maybe to talk
In-kind labor
about.
is allowable for matching funds. So if you work on, if in-kind labor, like your guys working on the trail project, you know, even right now, if you accumulate that, then it's viable for matching funds.
I think it probably has to be within the timeline of the
It
grant
probably
window,
has to
so
be.
right now probably wouldn't count, but.
It almost sounded like when I read it again, that you almost have to pay for the project and then they reimburse you. And that's a shot in the foot right there, I think. Anyway, thank you.
Any other questions?
I just want to say, I do like the idea of obviously not submitting anything this year, but possibly doing it for 2026.
Changing the subject, but you guys did a very good job on moving that house along the lake.
Oh, yeah, thanks. We're not done yet.
Looks really nice. Well, it looks really nice right now.
You did that, Ben?
No, we.
Company.
Oh, I was gonna say, boy, you did it well and you did it fast.
No, that we hired a contractor to come in, but we're still doing more cleanup with the dock across the road and some of those other, trees along, all those trees are being removed. The rest of it is really cleaned up, seeded, graded.
Looks very nice.
Human hybrid. Take one and pass it down, please.
Ben, so I
Sorry, I
just
didn't
want
say
to
the direction.
summarize what you are saying to us is our instruction 2 weeks ago, you and the team have looked, and some of that is not eligible or unlikely to be funded. So you've put forth what you think is eligible to be funded, but still recommend us waiting a year to get our act together. If we were to hire a grant writing support firm, would that change your recommendation, or would you still recommend we wait
I think
till next year?
We're still gonna have to do all that work to get them the information to put into the grant, so I think that's still, I think it would still be better to do next year. I mean, we have to have a public hearing, so that takes, that's gonna take a couple of weeks just to get that done and have the public comment on the application. Not that there hasn't been enough discussion on these topics, but we have to have the grant process open for that to happen, so. Having the application completed and people to be able to comment on that, I think we're just really pushing the limits as far as timeline goes.
When is it due? Like
April
April?
1st.
Oh,
So
yeah.
that leaves like
That's-
38 working days to do it.
We
Thank you.
haven't did the strategic plan yet either,
Yeah,
so.
I think it needs to be put in our strategic plan to see if we even want to spend money on that.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to wait a whole nother year, because I know folks have been interested in moving this forward, but it does seem like once we do a strategic plan, we could figure out where this sits in terms of priority. Are there other projects in the township that might be eligible for these grants that we have to pick and choose what we're gonna submit instead of submitting multiple ones? I had a conversation with the, rec advisory committee chair about that, how we prioritize what we're asking for. And really the answer to that is through a strategic plan, so that is helpful.
When was the last strategic plan written?
2016, and it went from 16 to 20. 2016 to 2020.
COVID. Pretty close.
Yeah, but think more in terms of, terms,
Turmoil.
not turmoil,
Oh, that
terms.
was not the T word you were gonna use.
No,
Oh, okay.
terms. There was a board that was elected from 16 to 20, and that made sense for that period of time. It's hard to do a strategic plan that will then go beyond a term of a board, because you're sort of giving a plan to people in the future who may not agree with it and may throw it out and do their own thing. So to spend a lot of time to do that is probably not wise. But we're talking about doing it for this board, this term. All right, folks, how do you want to proceed or not proceed?
I think we have to wait for the strategic plan.
Before we've set funds aside
Yeah.
to hire somebody, I think we need to wait until then.
Rick?
I have one more opportunity up my sleeve. If you guys don't wanna make in fact, we could do that tonight, but just say yes or no, Park Lake Trail. I know Karen's against it and you're against it by your own written admission. There is something called a conservation easement, whereas the whole reason behind all of this work in the formation of Friends of Park Lake as a nonprofit was to preserve our green space, wetlands, not swamps, wetlands. And that is an opportunity, whereas it simply is a legal and binding agreement that if we set aside a piece of land or various parcels that we own, then it can never be developed to a certain extent. You can make, a nature trail, you could make it into a nature preserve, but the whole intent by making it a nature, conservation easement is to protect it forever. And that's, in a nutshell, what we have been created for and what I have been striving to do for the last 12 years. That's all I ever wanted. So that's an alternative that we do have as well. And I don't know how much legal would charge to do that, or if they even need to be involved, but I think it would be nominal. And then you could later, like we like pushing the thing down the road, then we could later talk about possibly putting a walking path through the conservation easement. But the last thing is, as I mentioned to Karen, if you don't call it a sidewalk, you call it the Park Lake Trail around the entire circumference of the lake. It can be done in phases. You can do the north side if that's what you want to do. As long as you call it the Park Lake Trail, then it would appease probably everyone in the community.
Okay.
Question. If it's called the Park Lake Trail, does it gotta be 16-foot wide?
Only if you do, and this is what I read, and this is what Spicer Group recommended to us in their conceptual plan. They said that requirement was set forth for that particular project. Now, I can't say, like Karen said, they used it, we used it for the walkway on the east side of Webster.
Webster, correct.
Yeah, and it didn't have to be 16 feet wide, so.
Cause there's not 16 foot between some of them houses and the
Oh,
road.
heaven, no. But we do have a great deal of land, the township does, right along the lake. And it could very easily have a simple walking trail along the lake. It could be gravel, it could be paved. It wouldn't be a sidewalk. The only place that it would be on the onus of the township to pay the money and not get reimbursed via grant would be right around Race O'Connell's house. And he has verbally consented. And there is right-of-way along his house to put, make a 4-foot wide or 6-foot wide strip. I believe it's 6 foot that it needs to be in front of his house and then go back to the trail. That, it's just like bait and switch there kind of. But that would work. Because we already have sidewalk all the way, I looked at it today. We have sidewalk from the beach all the way past the creamery, a real sidewalk. And then we have sidewalk from the community center all the way up to Webster Road. which is unfortunately on the opposite side of the road, but it's there. You could put another crossroad in if you have a straightaway there. So that's taken care of. And that's, you know, an avenue. I'd like to see us do, you know, how can we do this? How can we make this work? Instead of, oh, no, we can't do that. No, we can't do that. Oh, no, we can't do that. Let's be positive and try to make something good for the community, you know? How long do you think it's been since we've talked about a safe way to go from the beach to Wiswasser Park? Used to be to the store, but we don't have a store anymore, so.
Are you proposing any of what you just described
I'm
tonight?
proposing,
Or,
if you want me to, I can propose that we adopt the name, quote-unquote, Park Lake Trail. And if we're uncomfortable about doing the south end, if something falls through with Oak Island, I don't envision that. I didn't know if you were gonna speak on that tonight or not, but we still would have the conservation easement avenue. But I strongly recommend that we adopt something to show the people that we can make a decision. And that this is the board that's going to make decisions in a positive manner.
I still think we need to wait till after we do the strategic plan. We're still working on fire trucks.
I have to
You know,
say
we
that
have to do the-
last week and the last discussion we had, I don't think anything was ever mentioned about a strategic plan.
It was in our budget.
Oh, heavens, yes, it's been in there, but I'm saying to block these progressive park plans under the auspices of not having a new strategic plan.
Well, strategic
in the
plan
old
is where,
strategic
well,
plan.
and that's part of doing a new strategic plan for this board. We will decide what we want in there.
Right.
So I don't think we should make any decisions until we have a strategic plan for this board.
Would
Well,
it
we've already
not
done
fall
that.
under our recreation plan?
And the
that we
recreation
did
does not
just
support
approve?
that.
They're not talking
Yes,
about
it
it at
does.
all.
They're
A
not talking.
trail? Oh, I'm sorry, the non-motorized pathway plan? Would that, I mean, that was like number one on the list.
Yeah,
The trail was?
yes.
Yes. Not the Park Lake trails
But trails.
specifically, but trails and pathways connecting nodes of interest around.
And as long as it appears we're
The
not making
township.
decisions tonight, I wanna mention
Just
that.
in terms of it being in a approved, adopted plan. I mean, what was the point of doing all of those if we don't get to actually use them for things?
You're not just looking at the pictures, are you?
no,
Okay.
no. So under community priorities and desires, first is safety, second is recreation, and that does include trails. And then under goals and objectives, goal 1 is build a non-motorized network that emphasizes safety for all users. Goal 2 is develop an integrated non-motorized network that connects to significant destinations.
So 1 and 2 are germane, correct?
I mean, I think there'd probably be argument about significant destinations.
Well, and that's another thing. Trails don't have to, quote, go somewhere to be very effective for the community. You want to see nature, you want to go out and get some fresh air, you want to walk. We all should be walking. The older we get, we need to get out there and walk.
I don't disagree with you, but I will say that one of the biggest concerns I've heard from internally and external is that the trail doesn't go anywhere, that
Well-
it sort of exists to itself.
That was why I wanted to have the county commissioner here, because he lives in Oak Island, and he utilizes the trail right now with his bicycle to go to these meetings, and meetings that he has here in this building. And he uses that trail, comes right up Webster Road, right to this building. And we have some significant developments going in. You know, the new development across the street here, and the Gary Lane project, which is another, 48, 50 condos. But anyway, what I'm trying to say is that our community is growing exponentially, and we need to have some new forms and better forms of recreation for them. And we already have all this land. That's what I just keep scratching my head about.
let me keep reading the goals here. Goal 3 is develop an environment through the township that will enhance community character, health, and livability for people biking, walking, and rolling. Goal 4 is develop a non-motorized network that supports and inspires users of all ages and abilities. And Goal 5, support educational programs that work to promote a culture of biking, walking, and rolling. So I think that's where you are drawing that from, Kate?
Yeah, well, and if I look at the Parks and Recreation Plan, 2024 to 2028, they're very similar. Provide quality leisure time and activities with special consideration given to improving health, fitness, and the environment. Provide safe, broad, community-based recreation opportunities that improve the quality of life. Provide non-motorized pathways and routes for recreational transportation use. And support the Bath Charter Township in its endeavor to have well-maintained park and recreation facilities and programs. Develop recreation opportunities that focus upon and take advantage of the Bath Charter Township water resources. Retain public land for future generations and create community awareness of Bath Charter Township recreational opportunities and promote them to residents and visitors. So it feels like to me, it feels like this supports those things.
Yes, I will say in the rec plan, though, it does outline very specifically what would happen back there in a phased manner. Park Lake Preserve is listed, outline phases for development of preserve is step 1. Develop the preserve according to the phases of the conceptual plan is step 2. So it's less theoretical in that plan and more
focused.
Specific, yeah.
And how much did we pay for that?
I don't know, 15 grand
25.
between the two, though.
Yeah. One last thing.
No one believes that, but go ahead.
Yeah, about the trail, the comment was made last meeting that it quote-unquote dumps people out on Park Lake Road at the northern part of South Webster Road. And guess what's right there at that corner? One of the few things we have at Park Lake is a sidewalk. A real sidewalk is right across the street, all the way down to the community center. And I'm just flummoxed about why I say we because it's all of us, why we fight this so much when so much points toward the positivity of everything for the township.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, we could spend a lot of money on a bunch of things
Oh,
that
you
point
could
to the
help, heavens,
positivity.
yes.
So to be fair to our colleagues here, all of us could have a project that is good and sort
There it
of
is.
no nonsense and spend money on it. Do you want to talk about hearing from Oak Island?
I
Or
would like to if
connecting?
you don't mind.
No, I would like you to, because
I-
we were asked to do that and you did it.
Well, you have the emails printed probably.
I don't have that. Poor Miles printed the email
I
for
was
me.
in-
Thank you, Miles.
I was in contact, actually today, since December 12th was the first time I contacted her, but the regional vice president for Sun Communities, which owns Oak Island Associates, told me that her company, Sun Communities, they have properties all over the United States and Canada. And their unilateral belief is that trails lend a great deal of wealth, value to their communities and to their residents. And that they would, pending a legal written, what did it say? It was I should get it out and read it, but anyway, they want an official ask basically for the easement written up by the township before they'll make a commitment to it. But they sounded very, very optimistic, and the only concern they had was, the question was, will it outrageously, they didn't use the word outrageously, but will it greatly increase the traffic flow within Oak Island? And I told her, and I believe this, that the only increase you would most likely see would be foot and bicycle traffic. Because I don't think people are gonna go all the way over, those are private roads, so that's my concern. But I don't think that's an issue. Pretty much, if we have an official easement there, we can at least publicize that there's an entrance there, which there is, and that has been used for.
So
1960.
Would they allow people to park back there and actually enter from back there? I mean,
They already-
that's the issue.
They do it already. Yes.
So people are already driving on private property, private roads to get to
Yep.
that.
Yep, and you do that when you visit somebody that lives there. You do that when you look at something over there. You drive in there, you know. It's not illegal to drive on a private
No,
road.
it's not, but you're parking on private property then when you're walking the trail that you're suggesting.
And you
Okay.
don't have a problem with the community using their park over there?
Well, I don't
That
know as if
small
they would.
park where they're gonna
That's not
park
what
the
we're asking
roads.
for. We're just asking for easement to ingress and egress, as it's
But
called.
we're gonna park car
But you may
vehicles
have
at
people
that
parking
park.
there.
You have a
though.
parking lot there. I can't say for sure that people are gonna park there, but you can make your own decision on that. I think it's eight place parking lot there.
All right, I want to keep moving forward. Do you have any formal motion or proposal to make at this point? Or do we sit and wait for the strategic plan as has been
Well,
suggested?
I tell you what, we've gotten 12 years of groundwork here on a concept called the Park Lake Trail and Nature Preserve. And you could call it the Park Lake Trail, and it encompasses Park Lake. Park Lake to the north, Park Lake to the south, Park Lake to the east, Park Lake to the west. So I would like to make a motion that we adopt the name of the project to be called Park Lake Trail, to be implemented in phases as we can afford it over the period of the next millennium. And that should be put in the job requisition for the next board and the next board and the next board. It just bugs the heck out of me how
We
things
are
fall
not
through the
able to bind the boards
How
in
things
front of
fall through
us
the
to do
cracks.
our bidding as much as we would like to. So you sort of started out with a naming and then moved to an implementation?
Well, that was just a comment.
So
yes.
Make it cool.
What, do you
I
want
would
me to-
suggest you pick one at a time.
Okay, let me pick the first one. How about we name the project that Ben is hopefully gonna be working on, that he suggested, called the Park Lake Trail Project, or the Park Lake Lake Circumference Project.
Tell me what you want me to write down.
Yeah, you gotta pick one.
choose something.
The
Then
Park
Ben's
Lake, go ahead,
gonna-
Ben. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm not the chair.
Are you guys talking about,
Come, please, thank you.
this kind of is going down the same road we did last time, we didn't really decide what we were talking about.
Exactly.
Are you talking about the project that's proposed for the grant, which is the parking lots and the boat ramp, or the trail around the lake?
Well, I guess,
You said Ben's project, that's not what I'm, that's
no,
not what
no, I
I'm.
don't recall saying
Supporting.
Ben's project. I said that Ben would be working on. And you had mentioned that you wanted to wait a year, you wanted to have a year to work on it properly.
That's
That I-
Wiswasser.
For Wiswasser Park, for the grant form that I turned in.
Well, we are talking about, correct me if I'm wrong, but you had asked staff to bring forth applications for 2 DNR trust fund grants.
3.
3, okay?
Well, as many as would take to do the project as a whole, but the memo here says that most of that was considered non-eligible.
Correct, and then you could
So
go,
they didn't bring that forward because they didn't think it was eligible.
you could go to the conservation easement for that portion and work on it, like we said, put $5,000 into it a year. And in fact, we, as I'll say again, we had a CIP had allocated $50,000. Earmarked, can I say earmarked?
No. You can say whatever you want,
No,
Ray.
because it's-
I can say it, earmarked,
Yeah,
earmarked,
you can
earmarked.
call it earmark, that's not exactly
Okay.
the same concept, but
Right.
it's not so far away.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying.
Right, so you named 5 things we could do there. What would you like us to do tonight? Are you making a motion tonight, and what would you like that
Yes,
to be?
I would like to make the motion that this board adopt the name Park Lake Trail for a project to, however long it takes to make a trail around the entire lake.
So the motion is just to name it Park Lake Trail.
To officially adopt the project.
Okay.
However long it takes.
You keep doing this to me, Ray.
changing
Naming
it.
something and adopting the project are two very
Okay,
different things.
I want to adopt the project.
Okay,
How's that?
got it.
You want words, that's another age.
I just want to make sure we're all clear about what we're voting on here. It's not a name, we're actually voting to do the trail is what you're asking.
Right, and so that way we, 10 years from now, when it comes to fruition on Part A, we'll have a name for it. Don't have to come up with one.
But that's about naming it again. But really what you're saying is you want to adopt the project and it could be called
The
this.
trail is named, and it would be a project to build the trail, correct?
Sure, I just want to make sure that folks, when they vote, know what they're voting on.
Okay, it doesn't cost any money to adopt a name.
But you're not asking them to adopt a name, you're asking them to implement the project.
Yes.
And I want to be clear, we do not have the authority to make any future board do anything.
No, that's
It's-
very-
It's like
that's
in
very
the law, we can't do that. So
I know.
even if we say it must happen in this millennium, it actually doesn't happen in this millennium. If it doesn't happen in the next 4 years,
Exactly.
we lose control of that.
Well, I'm fairly confident, and, you know, it hasn't happened in the last 12 years, so, you know, maybe the next decade we'll get it.
Sure.
I'd like to adopt the Park Lake Trail plan.
Plan, project?
Plan.
What
Project.
plan?
What plan?
Did you hear him talk about a trail going around the north side of the lake as opposed to a trail going around the south end of the lake?
I heard sidewalks on the north side.
Boy, you missed a lot.
No, I heard you talking about trails and that you think you should name it a trail because then you don't have to make it ADA compliant. That is
No,
not.
that's not what I said.
No, you said you want to just be able to make it so people can walk there.
What I said, was that in order to qualify for a TAP grant, Spicer Group told us it had to be 16 feet wide. And Karen said that she wanted quote-unquote sidewalks. And sidewalks are not eligible for DNR trust fund grants. So I said, if you don't make a quote sidewalk, you make a trail around Park Lake, i.e. the Park Lake Trail, then it could very possibly be eligible for grants. You see what I'm saying?
I do, but that's not going to help the people walking if you make it a trail.
Why
You
not?
still want sidewalks.
It's
Are
a
you gonna
name.
Are you gonna build it as?
I'd rather have a trail than a sidewalk, because you're away from the road. I don't like walking on the side of the road. I don't like riding my bike on the side of the road. It's dangerous.
My discomfort in this motion, but you can make it.
Well,
Right?
yes.
It's your motion to make, is that there's no plan that we're sort of all looking at and we all could articulate is the same, that we would be adopting. I think.
Yes.
If we voted yes on this and we each left, all 7 of us would have a different idea of what the plan is.
What I was trying to
And
do
that
is-
feels like bad public policy.
What I'm trying to do is bring this together.
I know what you're trying to do. I just want to make sure we all know what we're voting on.
Okay, one of our members, I won't mention who, but they said they were tired of hearing about this. And to me, we all have projects that we're very passionate about. And, I'm very passionate about this. I think it's very important for the community and all of the citizens. And you know, if there's a will, there's a way. Then, I mean, that gets worn out, but that's a fact. You could make an entire, nature preserve back there with a conservation easement, just like that. Did you know this? I don't know if you guys even know this, but this township owns 65 separate parcels of property. And when was the last time this township utilized one of those parcels for anything other than a pumping station? I don't think ever. So why are we acquiring more without a strategic plan? We've done that. We've made that, I mean, this board made the decision to accept the purchase of 2 properties just in the past, 2-3 years, to the tune of just about $250,000. That's not chump change. But guess how much 64 parcels of land would bring in property taxes if we didn't own them? I mean, just for the fact that the township never purchased them. Doesn't matter if it was a foreclosure or what.
So are you advocating selling them?
I'm advocating putting them to use for the township's benefit. By a project, an adoption of a plan to make a trail around the entire lake.
Would it be possible to put the plan on paper?
Hell yeah, it already is on paper.
Could you bring it to us so we could agree and vote on that? I mean, again, Ray, you have the right to make any motion, someone can second it, and we can vote on it. I'll just say, I'm uncomfortable
Yeah, I know you're
without seeing it in
uncomfortable. When you're
front of
uncomfortable
us.
and you verbalize it before the vote, we're done.
Well, I'm not trying to shut it down, I
No,
just
I
think
know
it's
that.
not,
There's a correlation there.
if you've been to lots of board meetings, I say this on everything. If we don't know how much it costs and there isn't something written in front of us to vote on, I always vote no. Because we gotta know what we're voting on. And $50,000 is a lot of money. So if that's part of what we want to spend, I think we gotta have it in front of us.
I would say if we want to spend money, we could vote on the $5,000 that was suggested. If, it seems to me that,
For the wood chips.
yes.
Do
think
you
the
wanna put wood chips?
$5,000
You wanted,
was-
what's that?
The $5,000 was contingent on getting a guaranteed access from Oak Island though, right?
Correct.
And I
Yes.
don't feel like we've gotten that.
Not
I
in
don't
writing,
feel
no.
like a secondhand phone conversation
Correct. We need the legal
is
written
confirmation,
easement.
right? That, I mean, am I wrong in remembering that? That's how I remember
No,
it.
that is
That
correct.
the plan that was presented from the Park Lake Advisory Board at a very low cost did hinge on access from Oak Island.
Well, Oak Island is saying maybe, right, but they need a formal proposal from us.
Yeah.
Do we want to put that proposal forward?
I think that would get more traction than the last one.
Make a motion for the proposal.
Probably I shouldn't make a motion.
No, I'm not telling you you should make motions. If you want to make a motion, I will call for the vote, whatever it is. But I hear what Kate is saying, that if that's the piece, or one of the pieces, one of the primary, perhaps timely pieces that's hanging out, it's clear from your contact that we won't get it until this board makes a formal proposal to them.
Correct.
But that probably would take formal action from us. Karen, do you concur with that?
I would agree.
So should we want to go toward Oak Island, we would need to be in concurrence with that.
Well, let's make the motion then to go forward with a proposal for easement to Oak Island property for the purposes of connecting the trail to their properties. And to hopefully bring that trail up out of the water to go towards the future of ending on Park
Right,
Lake
you're
Road.
killing me. Could you just make
Short
the
and sweet.
motion one thing?
Yeah,
Short and sweet.
short and sweet.
Short and
Uh,
sweet.
Make the adoption, or to
Proposal.
make the motion to write a formal proposal request for easement to Oak Island.
Second that.
properties.
Great. Motion and a second to seek, to create a formal proposal to seek easement from Oak Island into the land behind the lake. Is that
Yes.
fair?
Correct.
And we would be directing staff to do that.
Should we have a timeline on that?
Well, it's gonna be up to the attorneys, probably have to write it.
Okay. I mean,
Proceed.
that's still a valid question.
Yeah.
Is it gonna be
Sure.
$7,500 again?
It could be.
Okay. Depends how slow they work.
I don't know that we need the attorneys to do it, to be honest.
I
mean,
don't.
Karen will make that call as our administrator, but
I don't think it is required to make a legal proposal yet. You know, if that's required when you go for a legal easement, you've done that before, Karen, then
Correct.
that is required, isn't it?
Correct.
Because they have to do all the,
yeah. How do you see yourself carrying this out? Do you think you'd have staff do it, or attorneys, or both?
I would reach out directly to the individual at Oak Island, and I would probably, after having that conversation, issue something in writing to that individual asking for easement, and so that she could go to management. And then if we come to some type of agreement, any action would further come back to this board for legal counsel to get involved with any legal documentation we would need.
Okay, that seems reasonable, right? Does that seem reasonable to you?
that sounds
Sherry?
reasonable to me.
Sounds good.
All right, so we have a motion and a second. Does everyone understand the motion? Is there any further discussion? What kind of vote you want to take, Madam Clerk?
Oh, I don't care. And do a roll call?
She doesn't want to vote.
Yeah.
Probably,
Okay.
because it might come
Let's-
down to money.
Let's do a roll call.
Roll call vote, please.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Ms. Hagerman?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
No.
Ms. Butler Challenger, no. Mr. Funes Bliss?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
No.
Mr. Kaki?
Yes.
Passed.
All right, by the hair of your chinny chin chin there, Ray.
What about a motion to make?
Surprised with Al, but
What about a
not
motion
surprised
to make-
elsewhere.
what about a
All
motion to
right,
make a
so Karen, just want to do one more gut check with you. You understand what we've just asked you to do? Okay, great. That is all I live for. All right, thank you, Ray, for continuing to bring this up and do the homework on this. I appreciate it. All right, so that brings us to new business, item 14. Items for introduction discussion, we now have none. Items for action, the new A is the fire department assessment, and Madam Superintendent.
Thank you. I am seeking your approval of the assessment by Stone Productions, which has been budgeted for $10,000 in the fiscal year 2025 budget.
And this is going to cover equipment.
The assessment, yes, will cover not only our people, our operational readiness, the types of calls we're making, hopefully helping us plan for capital improvements, replacement of vehicles, and making sure we're right-sized and outfitted for the calls of this community.
And you planned and budgeted for this last year for this year?
Yes.
Great. You all have the materials in front of you. We've chatted about it. You have received some communication from me about that. Is there any questions, concerns, motions to be made, discussion to be had?
I have a question to have my mind refreshed. How much did we give in ARPA funds to the police department and fire?
Well, we did a couple of different things. We gave, was it called priority pay? Is that what it was?
Oh, that was, yeah, that's-
Firefighters and police officers. and
During
then
COVID, yeah.
We did a couple of projects with the police officers, like shields and
Body armor or something for
body art.
Or-
Yeah, that does feel,
Body armor.
fire department.
Fire department.
fire
Their
department, yes.
turnout gear. That's
And that
what
was,
it's
a
called.
Yes.
that was a grant
I
too,
was like, what
wasn't
was that called?
it? We got a grant for the
Part of that.
fire department.
We had additional funds from a grant, yes.
Well, the reason I say that is just, not necessarily against it. A lot of townships are actually voting down police and fire millages. And, I don't understand why, because myself, I'm very, very much for a strong police and fire department. So that was why I asked.
I'm hoping the assessment will provide some evidence both for us to figure out leadership-wise and the administration to figure out staffing-wise, but for the public to see, do we need more? Do we need bigger? Do we need to invest more? Should we expand the police and fire millage even more? Or should we pare it back because we've gone too far?
Well, that was
I'm
why
hoping
I
it'll
asked the question,
provide
yeah.
some evidence for some of the things that we've already done and that we hope to do. And maybe it'll come back and say, hey, you guys are right fit, right place, right time, pulled off. That would be great, and we'd keep it status
That was
quo.
like that audit did. We did well.
Yeah, we did very well.
So, yeah, that was why I asked, it kinda makes my ears perk up when I see several townships in this area. Eaton County was one of them that did it, and I just scratched my head. And Jackson just did it. And they have to cut back on their police and fire. And I'm thinking, what are you doing? Go pick up bottles if you have to pay your taxes.
Well, I don't know that it's always that easy, to be fair, but I hear what you're saying. I appreciate that our voters recently upped the police and fire millage for the first time in a very long time.
Right. Well, that's the first
But
time
I
we
hear what
asked
you're
for it.
saying. We don't have, we could have that problem. Luckily, we don't yet. Yeah. Hopefully, this assessment will help us show that we should keep supporting.
Okay.
Other questions?
What's the projected timeline for this?
It is likely going to take a couple of months for them to both assess, meet with our individuals, assess our equipment and apparatus needs. So most likely, it's going to be a good quarter, probably 3 months before you see something back from these individuals. The work will be taking place, but you won't see anything to this body until probably 3 months from now.
Okay.
This spring sometime. Is there a motion to be made?
Yeah.
If you'd like.
I would like to make that motion to approve Karen's request for the assessment, was it?
You're approving the contract that's been provided.
Yes.
Great.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second to support, or approve rather, the contract that's been provided in the packet. Is there other discussion to be had? I shared with you all by email, but I'll say out loud that we informed the fire chief that we were interested in doing this. I think Karen has probably mentioned it to him before, since she's budgeted for it and been planning for it. So he is understanding and seemed very open to that assessment. We probably need a roll call vote here, eh?
Ms. Hagerman?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Mr. Tunes Bliss?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Kratky?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, motion carries. Thank you. That brings us to new small item B, closed session under Open Meetings Act permissible purposes, item H, to consider material exempt from discussion or disclosure by state or federal statute for a legal opinion. So our action is to go into closed session should we agree to do that.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? That's another roll call?
Ms. Hagerman?
Yes.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Mr. Tunes Bliss?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Kratky?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, for those in the audience, we are going to excuse ourselves and we will be back hopefully soon.
I will note, if you remain in the audience, the live streaming will continue while we are not in this room. So any conversations you're having will be broadcast out onto the internet. So just be careful, please.
Don't do anything crazy.
If you want to talk bad at us, go into the hallway.
Well, that went well, didn't it?
You got a yes vote. Take the win, man. Yeah.
I don't know about the rules.
Yeah, right, right.
Hey guys, be careful when you guys hit the parking lot, it's super slippery. I'm putting some salt out right now, but I almost broke my back. Alright. No, I'm good.
Yeah, my neighbors moved.
He already did, yeah. He took a digger. Yeah, I almost, yeah, dude, right here, I'm gonna pull my back out.
Yeah, no, it's bad.
That's what I put it on.
Right, and you know,
You guys got
I've lived here 35 years, I've never once come across.
Thanks, Miles.
Yep,
any
Hope you
kind
make it
of
home
data
safe.
collection
yep, no, I'm sure it's fine, just be careful.
What do the residents of the township want? Nothing.
I was thinking
It's
about
always
moving
up
down
to the
as
city
the
of literally and contact. Well,
Oh, yes, okay.
well,
That's right.
but,
Yeah, because the other thing, I go to Africa.
yeah, and it changes over time.
If somebody's interested, and she lives in West Austin, if you go, I can't imagine all that
Yes,
traffic.
with everything nowadays, you know. Well, right. Yeah, exactly. It's the most constant job.
Oh, did you? Yeah, I'm going west, I'm going east.
Yeah, well, I'm on Friends of Berkeley, and,
Oh, yeah, it's a bad.
I don't even really know what our mission is, what's that?
We used to Coconuts and has.
Are you familiar with Culver Drive that goes down the lake? It's a U-shaped one-way road, just, you go down Webster Road, you drive around, on the southeast area of the lake. goes down towards the lake, I live right at the bottom of the U.
My word, I don't understand how they got on this. That's kind of. Corner is it before that? Somebody's in there.
Oh, in that blue house?
Right on the corner.
Yeah, I don't know, said there's somebody's summer cottage, I'm not sure. No, I'm not sure what it is. But they do come out of the woodwork in the spring and, build this beautiful garden, and then they work like little beavers every weekend, and then it's gone by the time, the leaves fall, or before that, and then it's like their home. I don't know. See, this is the issue they're talking about now. Well, when I bought my house 5 years ago, August 1990, I said to myself, this place is gonna gentrify, it's gonna be a good investment, yada yada. That's why I bought it. I said I'm gonna, I'll have it for 5 years and then I'll move on. Well, we lived in a lot of different areas and I travel a lot, and so I never really felt like I was committed to this area.
He's persevering.
But,
I'll say that for you.
I will say, when I first moved out here, White Hills Lake North was not a thing. It was hundreds of beautiful acres of
Yeah, he said he
red
didn't
pine.
give us a copy of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, just beautiful. And, second the White Brothers got in there, and they just flipped that land from agricultural to residential, whatever they did. They went from, 1 or 2 grand an acre to $40,000 a lot. It's pretty disgusting. But anyway, I went to Township meeting way back when and said, look, these are, natural habitats, and I think that they should be respected and. Yeah, well, the laws are, for every acre of habitat you destroy, you have to replace in the state of Michigan, I don't know, 2 or 1.5 or something. And what ends up happening is that there's so much land already that needs somebody to sponsor it. They actually don't build new habitat.
Well, within a range.
They actually just go back to that pool, you may know more about this than I do, and say, we just destroyed 40 acres, okay, we're gonna give you, 100.
Hi, Ray. I saw you on the board the other day, so recognized it. Nice to meet you. Yeah.
So we're gonna give you 120 acres of this wetland that we need money for, just to keep it up. Whatever, right?
What's the topic? Can I ask?
It's just like when Costco went,
The summer festival?
that was a golf
Is that part of the rec
course.
department?
It was,
What's wrong with it?
there was an Eagles nest in there.
No, we're in the
There
process of
were
planning it.
lots of,
Planning it?
Deer Lakes or whatever, people, they
A
don't
little different, I
really care
guess.
about deer and,
Goodness. Okay, good. Is that a good thing,
critters
right?
and wildlife and all
All right.
that.
Do you need money for
But
that?
anyway, what I was gonna
From
say was,
township,
when I bought my
it's a
house,
township event.
Oh,
it was a
okay.
beautiful little quaint
So you've already
area,
gone through the plan,
quiet,
the rec department?
69,
So
barely
it's
just
a
went
township
in.
event,
Um,
but the.
I would drive up and down Park Lake Road any time of the day or night, and I might pass one car.
Administrative.
And that went on for 10,
So are you
15,
on that board?
almost 20 years. Now, when White's built all that
Just this speak
stuff in there,
Excellent.
that obviously increased the traffic, but now,
We're on right now.
I sat
Well, that sounds,
at the Park Lake
well,
in
it sounds
the
very well,
picnic
Yes.
table
very
area there,
procedurally correct,
shelter.
because I've just
And
went to
then
some other
During the
things here
summer,
that
and I
don't
sat
seem
there and I said,
procedurally
I'm gonna drink this Coke,
So they should.
and just sit here for say a half hour and count the cars. I counted 76 cars that just passed me by the mobile.
I think
That doesn't include all the ones coming out of
Why aren't they
the.
standing up there answering all of these questions?
So my thing with this whole area, it's overused, it's
Well,
overused.
that's why I'm very complimentary that you are actually involved about this. Somebody's got to share this with all the other
Grows
ladies.
in and out, yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
No, there isn't.
You could go, all the way down to East Lane
That's very true. Yeah, that's very true. So,
I just wanna go all the way to 147.
a lot of people do, I know, you know, my brother lives in north of Charlotte, and that's what he does. He just, actually, he jumps on it, off of, let's say, in our highway, there's 69, and drives it around, but that's what we have to work with, so let's work with it. You know, it's, this whole thing about green space is just. And the riffraff that comes into the lake in the summer,
Do a public comment.
and the fact that, you know, we lost a lot of our
I know, that's what.
beachfront because some gal that was on the board, she, oops, I'm talking all
I don't know
this.
if I wanna hang out all the way to this close second. Who knows what it's about? I mean, anybody knows? I mean, I guess it's personnel of some sort. But they didn't indicate how long.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, I can tell you for
Couple minutes.
things are gonna change no matter what, just happens. I love Rose Lake, and, you know, that's after COVID, people found it, during COVID. It's a, I go out there, there's some people at times.
Is it the festival you said?
Yeah.
Your yearly
It's,
community events?
used to be known as Bath Days.
Okay.
So they have, I mean, it's just like a basic, typical summer festival.
It's Honeyland,
In the
so
community.
Chicken dinner by the Lions Club or something, or somebody's making grilled and something.
Not so much that, but we'll have like,
Bouncy house.
they'll have like bounce houses and food trucks and
Softball tournament.
I have a friend,
we're hoping for cornhole
Art Rider.
Oh, there you go.
but yeah,
Or a 3-on-3 tournament,
yeah.
you know, and really, you don't have
He's-
to organize those? You go get the basketball.
he owned a little, kind of like if you drive through White House
Right.
Heights or
Yeah.
Right, there's
you want to go road,
get the two
and
senior
you
kids,
turn right and left. If
couple
you
high
turn
school
right,
kids who are
you go to Saginaw. If you turn left, you go to Coleman.
Yeah.
Well, anyway.
You know, because that's really my next question.
He- Oh, okay. So you would know.
And the township
Oh, you did?
that's what we're all saying.
relationship, what is that like? And then,
Not to wait for.
you have a child, so
I'm
you've got
not
somebody in the
familiar
school.
with how much, like, they work together.
I mean, there's only two entities of that, right?
That was it.
Is there anything else besides the district and the township?
Coming back.
And now the food bank. What's the business across the street? It's the expressway and the ramp. What's that big building that's in the woods across from the food bank? Where am I?
Oh, there's
Oh,
apartments
over there.
out there, I don't know what that is.
Yeah, there's the apartments and there's a big office building. What is it?
Yes, and they software.
It's a software company?
Yeah, I would say there is.
Oh, was that it? No, I don't know what's happening.
Okay. Is it full?
Exactly.
Is the building full?
Right.
Is it-
And when it's your literally.
Pretty much, it depends on what's going on. They do a lot of training there. They primarily do software for municipalities and
Oh.
governmental functions, property assessing and that kind of stuff.
Well, our
Nice,
population
okay.
is.
Yeah, it was started by two guys that live right here in Bath, and they still own it.
Right,
No
so.
kidding. Good for them.
Yeah.
I like that. That's a nice little hidden gem over there.
City.
Yeah, it is. It's a real nice building.
That building is beautiful, the apartments are nice.
Yeah, it's a nice site there
It
too.
is, very nice.
Right on the edge of the wetland there, so
Yeah.
gotta be awful careful with the runoff that's generated there.
It get heavy, I'm sure, at times.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
yet.
it does. And then they also,
Saturated.
where the library is there, it's a little, they lease space in there and they do training in there. And they've also got a commercial kitchen there,
Questionable.
so they prepare meals when they have training sessions.
In the strip mall right there?
Right, yeah.
Okay.
Right next to the
I
library.
know, it's
Yeah.
very
Yeah,
simplistic.
I've seen that,
That was the other thing, you know.
Laws and rules aren't.
Yeah, because there's a lot of people come for like
That's
2 or 3 days of
nuanced.
training and they stay in the area.
Absolutely,
And,
right.
you know,
You know, subject to-
because they're from out of state
Yeah,
areas,
exactly.
up north, and that kind of stuff, where you won't want to drive that's not my opinion.
Is there any other bites on anything else in that development?
There's some fellas bought some property from Mr. Kessler, he owns all that property there. To build a gas station, it would be between the road and the food bank, right next to the wetland.
Sure.
Just north of the wetland.
Yep, yep. What does he wanna do with it?
He's gonna build a gas station and it's gonna have a little mini takeout restaurant type.
There you go, we need, yeah, perfect.
Yep. He's got a facility in, do you ever go to Potterville?
Yeah.
Frank's, mini mart or something like that in Potterville.
Is that the BP station?
Yep. Same owner.
Okay,
Similar concept,
okay.
different designs, yeah. He's gonna break ground in the spring and hopes to be open by fall.
What do you guys think of that?
What's that?
The gas station at the interchange?
Yeah, walk back, that was 3 miles.
Kessler, you said, is doing it?
Oh, no, Kessler's not doing it, Frank's BP is doing it.
Oh, okay.
It was
Kessler owns
Kessler's property.
Kessler owns the property.
He did, he sold him the parcel to build on.
Friendly,
Hmm,
even at sidewalks, nobody is friendly.
they'll never compete with Spags Chicken though, so you don't have to worry.
No, no, but it is good, isn't it?
Also park.
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
So where's the development? If we're gonna be, you and I might not be around, but 30 years from now, what's the development in Bath gonna look like?
That's
When
a
your kids
legitimate
are
question.
going to college?
That's a legitimate question. That's gonna be one of the beggars part of the discussion. We have to do a rewrite of the 5-year plan, and we're gonna start this year. That's what Miles was talking about, a grant that we got for that.
Sidewalks are important.
Grant's good for a 24-month window, so we gotta spend it in the next 24 months.
I'm a little concerned that the board keeps making new strategic plans. Then it's not strategic, it's just a short-term plan.
Yeah,
You know?
they haven't done a strategic plan for a long time. 2020, I think, was the last one.
Oh my God, you're kidding me.
No,
Oh, no, 2020 to 2025, that's right, it's 5 years. It's 5 years. The other thing, which is very normal, is 5-year strategic plan. But what I don't like is that how come all 7 board members get voted every 4 years?
that's the way the state has it structured.
Every township is like
I
that?
think it's a bad move myself.
This is the first time I've ever even seen this. Having everybody get voted the same year. Usually it's 2, 2, 3, or 3, 4.
Right, yeah, I agree.
In odd years.
That's the way we keep the planning commission, we stagger 3-year terms.
Yeah, it's impossible to have a strategic plan because every new board changes it. So that's,
Yeah, I agree with you, but there's a lot of things in this world that
Town
seem
center, he
to
built new, some huge highway
okay,
exchange.
all right. Well, I appreciate you guys talking and listening to me. I'm just trying to get caught up.
Oh, you knew the area?
I am pretty new to the
And
area,
it
only
was
3
his
years.
daughter Jenny.
Well, let me introduce
Well, she was
myself,
the
and
cousin of
I'm John
Grandma's
Reddick,
friend
I'm
back then.
chairman of the planning commission for
We
quite a
play in
while.
their
Hi,
house,
John.
we get
And
lost.
Tim, hello, Jerry. Hello, up
And
to
it was
you.
completely
Oh,
empty,
yeah.
we had like
The north piece of
5 or 6
everything,
bedrooms on the
rural
first story.
No, just north of Hermiston.
Oh,
So I
You know
love
where
going up
that
there.
40 acres that just sold back up to Rose Lake on the east side, into the valley?
oh, yes, you bought it?
No, we're across the street.
Oh, you're across.
That was just a reference that everybody knows.
Oh, okay.
At home, the
It's sold.
kids and all the
Well, good.
Kind of. Well, yeah, it is good.
I hope somebody's gonna keep it as a parcel. 40-acre parcels are nice.
Yeah, I don't know.
He wants to,
Yeah, I got
Well, a lot of
a
it's wet, so 20 acres of it
he
isn't.
wants to take.
Nothing's gonna happen to it.
Yeah, I got
That kind of
Musk is all into our U.S. Treasury now.
All right.
Has access to.
What gets me is the cost of ownership of some of this property. You can't do anything with it, because like you said, it's wet.
Yeah.
No,
And you got all of this stinking Holton muck. It's freaking Holton muck everywhere, man.
well, a lot of Bath is pretty wet, there's no doubt about that.
It's low, somebody told me, digging a pond, that you go 15 feet and you get back in sand below the muck. You think
Depends on the
that's accurate?
site, depends on the site.
Yeah, but what's
I
happening right now?
got 40-acre
is
parcels
all
actually in
different.
Fixture
All
Township.
wax.
I dug down one day 23 feet and I was
Pay
still hitting
attention.
sand, so I
If
don't
you're
know.
paying
Oh,
attention.
you were still in sand?
Yeah,
No, no, I'm saying it's under the muck. The muck's on top, right?
No.
there wasn't any muck on top of this piece.
Right, see, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I didn't.
If there's that swampy
Yeah,
muck,
There's
The
actually-
muck is-
somebody's dug a pond in the swampy muck,
Well,
and
there's-
then it's in.
I wasn't about to
Think about it.
run the
You're on
excavator out in the
law
muck,
Yeah, that's a little risky business.
Yeah, I don't like losing excavators in the muck, it's kind of
It's
expensive.
one of my favorite videos to watch.
I've seen some
Awesome.
stuff. Yeah, I've seen some.
Okay.
Yeah, I know
But
of one
anyway,
fellow that did that.
the Department
It was a
of-
rental.
We got it pretty good, but there's still
It's
some
not
spots
even
there, I mean,
free.
it's like a skating rink out there.
Oh my
Just later
goodness,
on,
just
it's
really-
all
When
the-
Zach came and got back, he said that, Gary went 27 of them, you can't do
Yeah,
that.
I slid, when I went
Yeah,
down to the
but
fire
first of all,
department too, and
there's
the truck slid the whole way down Miller Road.
Oh, I
It's
was
like I
like,
had to
And
do the old stab brake and.
yeah, yeah.
Keep your steering.
Wow, what's,
Yeah,
okay.
but just be careful, guys.
Dang, I appreciate
Thanks.
it.
Salt on our road.
Yeah.
So, so you might be able to answer this question
He's
for me.
doing a lot of things
You need
that are
A permit every time you wanna build a pond.
a lot.
Only if it's within so many feet of a waterway.
500.
Oh, is it 500? I
And you're not on somebody else's adjacent property.
When you fire
Yeah,
that,
I'll tell you.
US Treasury, when you
Brett
fire,
knows, he works
all
for
you do
Eagle.
is that's
Oh,
the
Brett.
No, right here, our new.
Oh, this Brett,
Yes,
the new guy.
yes.
all the officials.
He's just got on the planning commission.
Yeah, that's here for that.
His expertise is in surface water
When
and
you lay off all the
groundwater.
Well, he'll know that. He might not be able to answer my open muck question.
He's the first president.
Well, that's good to know. I'll have to hit a planning commission meeting.
Why, do you want to dig a pond on your property?
I'm thinking about it.
Yeah.
I got this big, giant, mucky,
Right.
swampy crap right in the middle.
Yeah, I know that deal.
You know, it's like, boy, that would be perfect. The problem is the spoil, of course.
You
But I
can't
got
do
lots of
that
hardwood
when
I
you
can
can't
just
do
kinda
this type of
spread
funds.
it
It
out.
has to go to county,
I think
because those funds are already.
that has to be within 500 feet to something. It has to be above one. So, anyway.
Yeah, some of the rules we have, I see why we do it, but you know,
No.
90% of the people do the right thing.
None of the
Only
lawsuits
10%
that he has?
problem.
And that's why we have to have the stupid rules.
Well, yeah, unfortunately.
There's already 27 states that have.
But most of the rules have very little flexibility.
Citizenship.
People that enforce them don't necessarily use common sense.
What's that?
That's for it.
They just enforce the
Yes.
rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And they have their own personal interpretation of what the rule means in
A
some
lot of
cases.
stuff. There's-
And don't even get me started about getting lawyers involved.
Oh, boy, that's a
Oh,
Yeah,
well.
I've never had much success getting lawyers.
All right. Hey, well, there's an open seat. I'm gonna go ask Brett that question.
Yeah, that's him. If he doesn't know the answer, he'll find.
It's okay. Yeah. I call him,
My son is in the
Hi, Brett.
yeah.
I'm Tim.
My son is in the developer in DC. So, I don't know if it's the same thing exactly. Not, he works with you, like, he would hire you, right?
Well,
Or, yes.
Brett.
Correct. Yeah, interesting.
All right, take care.
Thank
He
you.
says you're a water guy.
Groundwater,
Groundwater, yeah.
soil, yeah, sediment, whatever. Done it all at some point in time. Water wells, groundwater modeling,
Former student is doing that.
yeah.
He's got a PhD out in British Columbia now, doing something. I'm sure he's doing like, you guys are really experts for like miners. That's like a
Leo out
big chunk
here,
here.
you know, we own mines down around north, so quarries.
It seems like, yeah, all that dams, all those giant infrastructure projects. People talking, it's besides about the excavator, recoveries. I watched those, the natural disasters of rock slides and landslides and all that shit going, you know, bad stuff like in China that the world, rest of the world doesn't see.
Yeah.
There was one there, one shots, there was one that there was one that buried, I would say, 5 excavators, 6 or 7 buildings, multiple trucks, and I was like, holy smokes.
Out west, because they're not used to that water. So it's, and the heat to it. Last year.
Yeah, high volume, short period of time. Yeah.
Cover a couple of cities.
Especially in Europe when all that stuff's so freaking old.
Yeah, right, right.
And it's, you know, we're getting 1,000-year rains now, and we're past the 100-year rains, 500-year rains. Yeah, really, you know, if you're to ask me a question on what you're now on
Sure.
permits, on private property, yeah, we need a permit, private property, it's less than 5 acres,
I
and
don't deal with
500
that,
feet of
but,
it.
you know, you look at the township ordinance.
Yeah.
Start, but in general, you know, we need a permit for ponds, I don't know.
We don't have any ordinance for
You know,
ponds.
Yeah, and the state doesn't either, I mean, I'm going off the state.
yeah, if you look at state, there's nothing nowhere.
Yeah, it says as long as you're not within 500
Really
feet.
be at
Yeah.
the township level, and then county doesn't deal with that, so the state.
So it's township or state?
Yeah, for that.
Perfect.
County usually doesn't get involved in a lot of stuff like that. Township, and then jumps to the state.
Here's another thing, since you guys are political, seems to be navigate the political landscape. Does the county road commission fall under the county purview? I know the county road commission has its own board.
Yes, they do, yes.
I'm sorry?
The county road commission has their own board in Clinton County, yes.
So who are they accountable to? Voters?
We contract as a township for maintenance of any township roads with Clinton County. So any graveling, brush spray, ditching, a gravel road would come under Bath Township, which contracts with Clinton County. Now, if it's a county road, then it's Clinton County's road, and they maintain it.
But my question is does that board have, who are they accountable to? Is there somebody at the state, or aren't they, I would think that would be part of the
Wait, well,
Clinton County.
I don't think I'm understanding your question here. We have, in Bath Township, we have what's called a road committee. And the road committee analyzes the condition of roads and so forth and so on. Makes recommendations to the township board, who then allocates money to Clinton County for
Yep.
gravel road
Maintenance.
or township roads that we've elected to pay maintenance and
Sure.
upkeep.
Yep. No, but my question is, who oversees the road commissions?
Elected officials, right?
The road
Voters.
board,
Well,
the road commission board oversees the road commission.
so the county commissioner has no authority over the road commission.
No direct authority, no.
Where do they get their money? They have one of the biggest.
From townships, counties, state, and federal.
Okay, so they just request money from the different government entities.
Correct. Right.
So the board puts a budget together and says, I need $6 million from the state, I need $3 million from the county, and I need $500,000 from the township. Each township.
No, it filters down. The state says, here's how much money you've got based on how many miles of road
Roads
you're
you got.
maintaining.
Okay, so that's just automatic.
That's automatic, right.
Miles or surface area?
I think it's
Yeah, which one?
structured, by classification of road and the number of miles of road.
Right, yeah, class A gets more money than class B.
Yeah, there's A1, A, B, yeah. I don't know that it's dependent on the width of the road. I don't think it is, I honestly don't.
Yeah, it's not like you have too many
Yeah, I
county
don't-
roads, they do have them occasionally, I don't know if there's any.
Cause here's my issue, if I have a problem with the road commission, who do I appeal to?
So do you have a problem?
I did at one point.
What road, you're living on Hutchinson Road, right?
Upton.
Your frontage is actually on Upton Road?
Upton.
Upton Road is a county.
County road, yeah.
And if you have an issue, it's with County Road Commission.
Correct.
Now, there's zones, and Bath is a zone that has their own, like, foreman type thing
Yeah.
and so forth.
For the roads that they take care of in our township.
Right.
Right. So I still don't have the answer. Who would I appeal to if I didn't like what the road commission did?
That's a good
The
question.
road commission's the-
Board, I already went, that's just it, I already went to the board, and they sent me this a bullshit letter.
Yep, that's what they do, yeah.
Yeah, so
You'd have to sue probably if you wanted to.
directly to the road commission, they're a separate entity.
Imagine you have a different take on it.
No, I don't, well, what's the issue, I guess, is it anything that we can help you
No,
resolve?
not really, it's not really an issue anymore, I kinda made my point and it's all good. They have a subcontractor that did something really bad.
Oh,
And I don't think that they handled it very well, and I don't think that the subcontractor will change their practice, let's put it that way. So, the thing is, it's like, hey, it's like, who's reviewing how you get subcontractors? What do you do? I mean, does anybody get a slap on the wrist when they do something
that's an
stupid?
issue we've been having, because of all these people that are putting in cable, they're doing the horizontal boring,
Mhm.
and they aren't necessarily cleaning up and doing the proper restoration.
Okay.
And it's our position that they should obtain a permit to work in the right of way, which is what the state requires.
Sure.
And therefore, at that point, you could require a bond as part of that permit process.
They're not getting a permit to do that?
No, in a lot of cases, they're not.
Yeah, they just went through our neighborhood and did that, and, they made a mess and I couldn't, clean it up. It's not a huge deal. I mean, but if you had to do the whole neighborhood, I just did it on my property.
Right, right. But you really shouldn't have to do that.
Shouldn't have to, but,
Yeah. The bottom line,
The most detailed.
the issue was the supervision of the subcontractors. That's the bottom line.
Well, yeah, see that.
And they really didn't address it. And I was like, okay, so now what? It's like, I just took it up, I'm good.
Yeah, I
If there's
have
other
arguments.
people that join in with you, that's one way. If other people have similar issues, you can sign off on something.
Right.
Commission. But, yeah, I mean, it's a tough position, but it's, cause it just seems like a really small thing to them, right?
And very insulated,
Yes.
very
Oh,
insulated.
yeah, well.
That's the scary stuff that everybody hates about government. What are you guys doing over there?
Hopefully it's not.
Right. Yeah, no, it wasn't that bad. It's just the
It's
subcontractor hired some kid who didn't know what he was doing, and it was stupid. The problem is, I don't know if anybody told the kid he did something stupid. That's the whole issue,
Yeah, probably. For supervision.
They just made a phone call to the company, who talked to the secretariat, who were like,
Yeah, nobody's responsible.
No.
No,
So,
I know.
That's what
Did you call the contractor then?
No, I did my due diligence and called them, and then they came out and visited, and then they wrote a letter which was incomplete, and I wrote a letter back and said, hey, this is a good
The
start.
contractor or the commission?
No, I wrote to the road
Yeah,
commission.
I'd call the commission, the contractor directly.
Well, he's from the west side of the state.
I don't care.
Yeah, he's got Jackson County, Kent County, and
I'd call directly.
Yeah, I would have too, yeah.
Then you
the job to do their job well.
Sure. Yeah.
And do it correctly and be sound in all of their judgments and what they do.
You know, if he's a
Is
decent.
that too much to ask
contractor,
of our public officials?
If he's a decent contractor though, the guy will fix it. You know.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Take care of you.
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to go to the commission, although you may want to let him know, just
Yeah.
because it might have happened 50 other times.
Probably.
Yeah. Yeah. It was kinda crazy.
You know.
Yep, I had that problem with Consumers Power many years ago. Property I own, the lightning hit the transformer, took out the neighbor's power, which was fed off of a pole on my property, so consumers came up and they had ruts, so probably
Oh, yeah.
that deep.
Yeah.
It's amazing where those trucks can go.
Yeah.
Well, they're big, heavy trucks with
It's all-wheel drive, yeah.
Yeah, they,
Get anywhere, it's amazing.
Yeah, and same thing on the property, you know, it's even, they're putting in, what were they putting in, they were burying something, I don't remember what it was, but, you know, same issue where they dug this big trench through my property and buried it up, and when they drove the truck over it, didn't compact it well, and it's, of course it's sunk, and there was big tracks in there. I just filled it in and, taped it down, planted grass, but, you know, just really poor work.
Yeah.
the way it is.
Well, it's progress, right?
Well, you know, again, it's the due diligence and in getting bids, reviewing the contractors.
Everybody goes with the lowest bid almost, it seems like nowadays, you know, because
I'm sorry, I missed that.
the low bid.
Yeah.
You know, and what's the little bid gonna get you, they're scraping and they're doing
Yeah.
everything they can to make a profit, you know, and.
And that's why your requests for proposals have to be so accurate, right? I mean, you gotta detail everything out.
Good luck with that.
Oh my God.
That's a lot of work.
You'd be surprised, the school district with the cleaning company has a 300-page RFP.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, but somebody had a lot of time on that one, had a lot of experience over the years.
Well, when you get into the bigger places too, you know,
Just keep adding and adding.
you got people snooping on the job all the time.
No, yeah.
Yeah, you're better off with your own staff.
I agree,
Yeah.
I
They
agree.
don't wanna pay, you know, insurance for them, and they wanna be responsible if they fall and hurt
Mhm.
themselves, so they're farming off to a third party. I think they're saving money, I guess, but maybe they are, but,
I don't
the
know.
work isn't there,
Yeah,
I don't know why.
less control,
especially in schools,
you know.
where you kind of need it. All right. This school session's wasting way too long.
Too long for
I
me.
told you guys what I was thinking, so.
Good enough.
Thanks.
Good enough. You bet. I think that, I was gonna say the thing about, oh, the only thing I was gonna say was I didn't like Ryan's comment about the strategic plan. It's not a strategic plan if you're just gonna switch it next year with the new board.
That's the
Which is
problem.
which is why I was talking, I don't know what I was talking, you guys heard I was saying how we should, everybody's voted on and off at the same time.
Right. Yep.
This is the first place I've ever seen it.
Staggered, yeah.
It's an all or nothing change.
Yep.
It's like, well, no wonder why you get a new strategic plan with every board.
Yep.
They can be reappointed though, right?
If nobody runs,
They could be reelected.
yeah,
Elected,
but you just run on post,
yeah.
usually,
Yeah.
right? Hmm.
So there's not a huge changeover.
Now, here's another question that I don't know, and you might know as a political savvy person. Could they apply the grant and extend it?
Depends on the terms of the grant.
Yeah,
Most of them have.
the type grant.
Well, most of them have like, have to spend this monies by X date. If you don't, then.
But you could, but my question is, you can request that and put that into phases, correct?
It depends on the grant.
Yeah, it does, you're right.
But
So-
generally, we would expect that you can do that.
So I'm thinking, if they do apply for it because it's accessible, and they get it, can they draw it off enough to gather the matching funds to be able to keep it? That's a risky move, that's what I'm saying, it's a risky move, that if you screw it up, forget it, you're out of the grant business.
Oh, yeah.
There's more grants in these DNR laws, too, there's different departments in the DNR, so.
They don't talk to each other?
I'm really sorry, you'd be surprised.
I just-
Shocked when I went to the state house, it's like,
Yeah,
It's shocking,
it
isn't it?
is.
but what else is scary is, I am sure that there's a database that they all just tap into to share information or not?
Not necessarily.
No, and even that silo,
Really?
there's departments that have different databases.
Yeah, they don't even talk to each other in a lot of cases.
No. So, yeah, I wouldn't make that assumption, not that it's not true in some cases, but I would never not apply for, if I screwed up a grant, I would still apply for another one.
True, yeah, that's true.
Because the grant awards aren't just based on need, they're based on, did enough people apply? And if they have money, they're gonna give it to somebody, maybe
Somebody.
that doesn't even really kind
That's
of
true,
qualify.
they will give away every cent, otherwise they will, their next budget will be pinched.
They will award that money.
They will, award it, I agree.
They can, and if they can't, then it goes back to the general fund.
Well, we're good. Gentlemen, I'm gonna go home.
All right.
You guys stay the
Careful,
whole time.
it sounds like it's slippery.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I see, I noticed that in the parking lot when I came in, there was a
Oh,
spot.
did you? It was pretty
Just
slippery.
like one little spot.
Oh.
Yeah, that I stepped on. It was like shaded from a car, you know, and the car was
Oh.
parked next to it. It was like really icy. Didn't look like it, but it's black ice. Yeah.
Wow. Not to be
The rest of the parking lot was okay, but maybe not now.
No, hard to say.
It was just freezing.
All right, you guys, maybe we'll see you next month.
Yeah.
Talking to.
All right, likewise.
Yeah.
Good luck.
First and third Tuesday, Mondays
First and third.
are board meetings, second and fourth are planning commission.
Second and fourth, but you're not on Mondays, are you?
Tuesdays, we're on
Tuesdays, right.
We're on Tuesday.
Okay, are they pretty excited?
No, very rarely.
You guys,
Show up.
you were chair, are you still chair?
Yeah, I'm still chair.
Okay. And you're just joining.
I'll let you
Well, you attend all the time, I take it.
No,
Oh,
no, I haven't.
why did you want to be in planning?
I've been thinking about it for a while, and then kind of like, I just had some time, I flipped a house and got it rented, so I had free time, and I'm like, I've been wanting to do this, but I put it off, because I just didn't have time. So, now it's rented,
Nice.
it's off my plate, I have some free time. I like to stay busy.
Yeah, good,
You know,
good.
my background seems to fit pretty good, and that's
Yeah, it sure does.
other reason, and,
I might have to drop in, just gotta like listen to this kind of stuff, it's fun.
Yeah.
I think it's,
It's online, the planning commission's not live, it's replay, but the board meetings are live online.
right, like this is.
Yeah.
You can see all the videos, and you're,
Yeah,
you're
yeah, I
on it
know.
right now.
All right, you guys, good night.
Good night.
Good night, good luck.
Have a good night.
How are you doing?
Not too bad, how about yourself?
Good?
Glad you came out.
Yeah. Happy to come out. Always learn a little something. That's what I like to do.
Yeah. You'll find we're not real political, we take a stand on something, like based on facts and data.
I'm a scientist.
Yeah, no,
Been forever.
thank
If
goodness
there's
for
no
that.
facts and data, you make a decision.
Yeah,
Well, you can, but
yeah, you can.
it doesn't mean it makes any sense.
sometimes you make those calls, though, just because you have to.
Well, it's one of those interview questions, you know, if you only have an hour to gather information and make an important decision, what do you do? It's like,
Get out of the corner. Heads or tails.
tell them I can't make a decision, you know, I need more information at this point. Or best available data says this, you know, I mean, it's definitely a loaded question, but all they're really looking for is how you think, you know.
A lot of cases, that's true.
Yeah, I would think, well, I need to find a way to push this off until I have more information, you know,
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
the best way to do it.
yeah.
Making rash decisions never benefits anybody.
No. No, but I was really upset when I got blindsided Tuesday night.
What?
Jason Almerigi and his, all his research that he had done on, the, sightline condominium thing. Normally, if there's,
Access road, you mean?
yeah, and all that,
Versus-
normally if there's
County road, yeah.
something we discover, we share it with everybody before the meeting, so you can put it on the agenda and you can have some time to research it.
Right.
Don't just pull something on somebody at the meeting, and one of those gotcha moments,
Yeah,
I don't like those.
no.
And he's noted for doing that.
Mhm.
The last time I talked to him, he was kinda upset and didn't show up for 2 meetings.
Oh, yeah.
But he's a nice guy, he's an okay guy, known him for a long time.
Seems pretty sure.
He's very sharp. But I don't like it when somebody pulls those gotcha moments on you.
You're right. It's all the way you present it, I guess, too.
Yeah, a lot of times it is, yeah.
Not like this is why you can't do it.
You know, those lots on a cul-de-sac though are always been a problem.
Yeah,
What do you do with them? I mean, it's obvious that you got a pie-shaped lot.
right. As far as getting enough frontage.
Yeah, especially if you're talking road frontage.
That's
We-
what I was looking at, because in the ordinance, it says you have to have, what, 85 feet or something? I mean, quite a bit more than what they had in the frontage, but they had it in the back, right?
Well,
So
we
were
said,
saying it, we're counting from the back then?
no, I don't know, quite a few years ago, we said that we were gonna define the lot width as the width of the lot at the front setback of the building
Yeah.
site.
Okay.
So you could have a lot that was pie-shaped,
Yeah.
but as long as the setback, which is 50 feet from the road, the lot width was,
Yeah, not that.
Met it.
requirement, yeah.
that way it makes a buildable site, which is what you're really after, is a buildable site.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends on how much frontage you have still, though, right? I mean, if it comes to a point where you're 10 feet.
Well, then you can't put a driveway on it, though.
Yeah.
You know,
If
'cause-
it's like one of these
Right,
little lots.
right,
you
yeah.
know.
But as long as you got enough road frontage to build a driveway and have it a decent edge from the property line, I don't really see that it's a problem. That's the problem with the cul-de-sac, but I love
Purpose
cul-de-sacs.
of that, so that you don't have driveways like right next to each other?
Yes,
or
yes,
what?
yeah, that was the concept, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
So otherwise you get the guy plowing snow onto his neighbor's driveway or planting shrubs on the, yeah. So that was the object behind that.
Mhm.
But I kinda like cul-de-sacs because they mitigate
Mhm.
through traffic.
Yeah, I live on a cul-de-sac, love that, I mean, when my kids were little.
Yeah, they go out and play in the
Play there,
cul-de-sac.
there'd almost never be a car come by.
No.
They'd be out there rollerblading or whatever, riding their bikes and no problem.
guess the, quite a miles of the town, I haven't been there in quite a few years. Town area is really developed,
Oh, it definitely has,
changed a lot, I guess.
Her mom passed away two summers ago, and I flipped, I rehabbed one of the house, and so I was out there a lot, so we were driving into town and stuff.
Oh.
like that, and, usually we just visit them and go out. and
Yeah.
Shut back on 59, so we really never did it in Fenton, but, yeah, so we were going into Fenton and stuff, and we actually got married in Fenton.
Oh, did you?
Well, had a reception in Fenton.
Yeah.
At the community center. But yeah, it's changed a lot. It's,
Yeah, a lot of communities have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did a pretty nice job. I mean, it doesn't feel real homey,
Yeah.
going through there. Even though they have like really nice old historic houses in places, but they're more like not in the thoroughway through town. It's kind of a little bit like, it's more commercial.
Oh,
Like
okay.
a main triangle
Yeah.
through there. And then the neighborhoods off there have real beautiful houses. So if you go through some of the side streets, you can see those, but pretty historic area. But everything's, there's, pretty good money there, so everybody's houses are pretty well maintained, nice, and they, redone most of those old homes to make them, restore them.
Oh, yeah.
Pretty nice again.
Yeah,
Really pretty houses.
yeah. I got a cousin that's in the historic homes.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, she owns 23 of them in Plymouth, Michigan.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Some of them are really, really nice.
oh, I'm sure.
She's fortunate, she's got, I can't remember how, quite a few of them are executive rentals.
Mm-hmm.
The people come to America to work for like a 2-year visa thing,
Mm-hmm.
and the company provides the house for them. They're all furnished, and so she just sends the bill to the company.
You ready to do it? Yeah.
And if there's any damage or the
Long-term rental type
furnace,
thing, yeah.
the furniture gets destroyed or something, she just sends them an invoice and they write her a check.
Mhm.
So you can't lose money on those.
Yeah, right.
And vacancies don't matter because the corporation pays a,
Oh, so she has like a long-term contract.
oh yeah, she
with
got a
all of them.
contract with the corporation,
Gotcha.
so they just pay a,
Mm-hmm. Just pay it no matter what.
yep,
Rental,
But they got-
here and there, and,
yep. Sometimes they have people come for 3 months or 6 months or,
yeah, that's a big deal. How'd she find that?
her husband.
Knew somebody, or?
Her husband worked for Mitsubishi Electronics, and he was the Mitsubishi, I don't remember what his title was, but he dealt with strictly the Chrysler company, when it was Chrysler.
Mm-hmm.
All their electronics.
They're still bringing people in though all the time, huh? Yeah, no slowdown there with the car companies kinda.
She didn't mention that there was, so I don't know.
Oh. That's crazy. Yeah, my dad worked for Ford for a long
some of my properties in Bath and some in Victor Township.
Really?
So, yeah. So did you look at that development of Chrysler, or Kessler that we had all the debate about?
I did, yeah, I looked at it, you know, there's a fair amount of detail, but I think more of it's also like what you guys are getting into with the ordinances, and it seems like the subjectivity is pretty much related to the road and sidewalks, right?
Yep, yep.
And I agree.
And curb and gutter and street trees.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree, when you have an ordinance, it should be something to follow, right? Because it's written for a reason, or to change it.
Right, but you know, there's some ordinances that don't give you any flexibility, and I think sometimes you gotta be a little bit flexible. And I'm not a big fan of curb and gutter, to be honest with you. I think there's a place for it, but I don't think that every road needs curb and gutter.
Well, it's a lot more expensive.
It's expensive to maintain if you do it right, too.
Sewers.
Right. If you don't keep the catch basins cleaned out, sooner or later you plug up the pipe. Then you gotta flush it with a power washer somehow with a vac truck.
Those are gonna get plugged up.
Yep.
So the drains.
Yep. Yep. And you really should be out there with a street sweeper at least 5 or 6 times a year, in my opinion, or a minimum of 3 times. Spring, fall, and because if you don't keep the waste out of the catch basin, then you don't vacuum out the catch basin, you just sooner or later gonna have a plugged drain.
We had a super backup, you know, in our subdivision.
Sanitary?
Yeah, well, it was combined at the time.
Well, I didn't know they had to be combined drains
It
in
wasn't
this.
supposed to be. That's how they found out.
Wow.
This was, it was some time ago, it was probably.
Must have been.
In mid-2000s, I wanna say, like 2000. Kids, they were really young. It was probably right around 2000. Right then.
Oh, it wasn't present there any combined building there.
Well, it's not now. So it was combined area.
Oh.
No, that's how they found out. That's my understanding, but how much information you get from the county. Tell you what's going on, but, you know, the county paid something at least, but it still costs me, like 3 times what they paid me.
Probably. Oh, so you had a backup in your basement? Wow.
And, you know, what the mayor still spent 3 times what
They
paid.
reimbursed you.
$8 grand, I went through that.
Oh, yeah.
Would leave, they had a service crew out there, that was like $5 grand right off the bat, so.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
All they did was tear everything out, pull the water out, and clean it, that's it.
Yeah, they didn't do any restoration.
So I sure done restoration, I had full finished, but I had tile down there, so that was the one saving grace, I think. And a workout room, I have a workout room, bedroom, bathroom, common area, and then utility room down there, I built.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was a lot of work, it wasn't just like a couple of walls.
Yeah, oh,
Replaced
yeah.
a little bit, I replaced a lot of drywall, corners,
Oh, wow.
but didn't touch any electrical, cause all electrical was coming down.
Well, that's good.
So,
That's good. Yeah.
didn't get up high enough to receptacles. That was the only saving grace. something that you notice.
Yeah.
Back when your water service, you don't notice it, but you get bacteria, that's what.
You can, yeah.
Bad safety bacteria.
Most of the water systems are pretty redundant, though. You gotta really have a major problem with loose pressure. In my experience, anyhow.
Yeah, I mean, city water also is treated, right? You get well water.
Well, yeah, that's.
Yeah, that's a- Yeah, it's not a permanent.
Oh, me, no.
I was just blown away when they put $400 for it, pull the water in.
It's cold. Cause it's cold.
Feels nice in here.
I turned it up 2 degrees, so the heat would turn.
Getting around, how about yourself, Al? How you doing?
Just about making it.
Oh, that's good. Making it.
Just about.
Just about.
Yeah, I got it ready to keep.
Oh, did you?
I'm waiting to see what we're gonna do. Probably gonna give one. Well, what I did have. That is gone, and there's another marker in there. Oh, because they gotta give me some more keys. Get that. This is from
The township report that Samantha's asking for.
So we just need to fill it, but if I don't want a credit card, I still gotta fill it out, right?
I think you, oh, yeah. And then the other paperwork is other forms that she needs.
It's warm in here.
Yeah, it's, no, it's hot in here.
It's hot. Sorry, guys, I was cold. I turned the heat on.
Usually cold.
It's you!
I do.
Yeah.
I can just feel that, like, air blowing on me. Oh, whoops, I do have stuff still.
Okay, so we are going to do.
My bad. Okay. Are we all set to reconvene? We're still running live?
Correct.
Good to go?
Yep.
All right, we're gonna reconvene here at 8:17. We don't need to do anything to
Nope.
come
I
back,
wrote it
right?
down.
All right, we're back. That brings us to item 14, new business, big B, items for action, new C, action from closed session. Is there anyone who'd like to take action from our closed session?
I will. I move to direct legal counsel to engage in the course of action outlined and work with the supervisor and superintendent regarding the same.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will do a roll call vote.
Mr. Rosecrans?
Yes.
Ms. Butler Challenger, yes. Mr. Funes Bliss?
Yes.
Ms. Wilson?
Yes.
Mr. Kotke?
Yes.
Ms. Kellerman?
Yes.
Ms. Hagerman?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. That brings us to item 15, superintendent's report.
Thank you. Just had to readjust my brain there for a minute. On Monday, February 10th, we will be conducting police chief interviews. Trustee Hagerman, Supervisor Funes Bliss, Under Sheriff Mike Goot, and myself will be interviewing the candidates. We've done a task of trying to decide who we are going to interview, which I think we're on our way to understanding that, along with the internal candidate that we have as well. And we will be moving on from there. Park Lake property, as some of you were discussing tonight, the house was torn down, and there will be some additional capping of sewer and well, and we will be removing some trees, so work will continue on that, even though it's cold outside. Staff has been working diligently on the Chandler area project, which contains some road work, some sewer infrastructure, some drain work. So conversations with the road commission, the drain commission, and other parties, including the township engineers, continues on a very complex project. And I will continue to give you updates as more things are decided. We're close to the period of doing the cost analysis So that will bring us closer to understanding what the money given to us from, I forget if it's Representative or Senator.
Senator.
Thank you, Senator Singh. And if there will be additional funds that are necessary, or if the project will need to be pared back, so that could be significant. My office also continues work with Associated Government Services, which is, they run our building department for us and do inspections in our community, and that work will be brought to you possibly at the next meeting. We are ready to have legal counsel assist us with that matter, and so that will be coming to you very shortly. I know I continue to say that that's coming. Sometimes work is slow, but we are making progress, so that is good for the partnership that we have with them. Any questions, I'm happy to answer them. I will be gone this week. After tonight, I'm hopping on a flight this morning at 4 a.m. and headed off to Portland, Oregon to have hopefully a fabulous time. So
Enjoy.
Yes, thank you.
It's Portland, you gotta have a good
I
time.
have to have a good time, that's true.
You're gonna have to learn how to pronounce Oregon the way they pronounce it, though.
Not Oregon, 'cause
No,
they'll
Oregon.
dish you.
Oregon?
Or they'll know you're a East Coast hippie. Well, enjoy your time off. You deserve it, and we know that the township will be in good hands. In your absence, I assume the deputy will
She will.
take up
I
your.
will be accessible should need be, but hopefully need won't be.
Great.
Yes, thank you.
Any other questions for the superintendent? All right, that brings us to the second public statement. This is opportunity for 3 minutes to say whatever you'd like to the board on any topic you so choose. If you would like to make a public statement, please come on up to the lectern, introduce yourself, and get started.
Good evening. My name is Sandra McIntosh, and I'm going to bring you guys up to date on the summer festival on behalf of the rec board and the planning team for the festival. We officially have picked a name, and it's going to be named Bath Fest. We wanted to keep it kind of short and sweet, like it was known as Bath Days. We're still working towards finalizing a budget to bring to you guys, hopefully in the next week or so, postponed with Karen being out of office for the next week. We are also, I just submitted the list of potential sponsors, vendors, to Taylor to get Karen's approval. Once those get approved, then we'll be able to bring them to your guys' attention as well. Which brings me to creating a sponsorship packet. Hopefully in the next few days we'll have that finalized, again, to bring to your guys' attention as well. Discussing any additional fundraising opportunities. We submitted our potential fundraising list to Karen and Taylor. So once that gets approved, we'll be able to start doing fundraising, hopefully in the next couple weeks, just because we want to get going on that, so we can start raising money for the event. Talking with community organizers or organizations and partners to coordinate additional activities. One of them was the silent auction that's held usually during the event. We spoke to Karen a couple days ago, and it was brought to our attention, us as in Adam, Montre, and myself, that the township won't be able to provide the lottery license. So we'll have to talk to an organization. We're hoping either the Legion or the Lions Club to be the host of the silent auction. And then just a reminder that the dates for this will be Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the 1st of August, which is the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. So if you guys have any questions that I am able to answer, I'm open
I don't think a silent auction requires lottery.
Okay.
I think it's just 50/50.
Yeah, it's raffles or games of chance. A silent auction isn't that, so
Okay.
you shouldn't require a license.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we never had to have one when I ran Bath Days Festival.
Okay.
We never had to have a license for a silent auction, only if we did raffle drawings. So check and make sure.
I know we have 50/50 on the list of just a possible thing to do, so I'll make sure I know that
Yeah.
to pass along to Adam.
And is the issue, we're not allowed to get a 50/50 license?
Games of chance require that, and we're not allowed to obtain.
That's the senior center thing, remember? They couldn't do that over there.
I thought we were choosing not to. I
Oh,
didn't know
no.
that we were not allowed.
No, it's my
The state does
understanding.
not allow
It's my understanding.
local
I could be-
municipalities to do that?
Yeah, I'm not sure. We could obviously look into that, but I'm not sure whether or not a municipality can get that type of license.
I mean, if not, I would go to an organization, because I know like the athletic boosters, they have a license to do 50/50, because they do it for all the games. And they always participated with Bath Days. They always did a booth to sell their Beware, because that's a good weekend to sell it before school starts, so everybody has Beware for the first week of school.
We do have, like all of the sports organizations
Yeah.
on our list, for groups to talk to,
Yeah.
to get them involved, so.
So the athletic boosters at the high school would be
Okay.
great to contact, because they will participate usually.
Do you all have a copy of our donation policy?
Yes.
Great. Make sure you follow that.
Okay.
Since that money is coming into the township, it's helpful that you all understand too how it works when it gets into our coffers.
So I would offer, if I may, the deputy superintendent and I met with Sandra and with Adam Montry, and completely willing to follow all of our policies and procedures, and adhere to the things that we've requested for them. So I appreciate their willingness to work with us. It looks a little different for them than it probably would have as a community organization, but they're completely willing to work with us and do things as we've requested. So I really appreciate that, their flexibility in doing that with us.
In the future, if you want to address the board, let us know, and we'll put you on the agenda under township committee reports. You don't have to wait.
Until the
you
end
know.
of the day.
Of course you are public, but you're not public in this sense, you're sort of internal. So we're happy to put you on the agenda anytime you want to come and give us an update. It's very helpful, I think, especially in this first year, to keep us as updated as possible.
Yeah, I know we just met just a few days ago, so I think it was a little too late to get me on the agenda.
We
but
can add
I was
it.
happy
We can
to-
always add it.
We're always
We
happy
amend
to
them.
add you
Just let us know right
at the last
beforehand.
minute. We prefer notice, but we can add you at the last minute.
I had no problem waiting.
Thank you.
My daughter that was here was like,
Ready to leave.
ready.
She was on pins and needles.
I don't know why. This is the most exciting thing that could be happening in her
She
life.
insisted on coming because she wanted to stand up here with me, but then she got too bored and was like, next time we
Next
can
time.
get her.
Put her,
up
put
here."
you early so she can stand up
Township
there.
committee reports is early on the
I told her
agenda.
she was just gonna be able to stand up here and not really say anything. And we'll give her candy.
Loved the candy.
Most of the time.
Well, thank you for the update. Thank you for joining us tonight. Any other questions from board members?
No. Keep working.
I had to stop.
Oh, I know, I know.
You'll also get more than 3 minutes if you speak during township reports.
Oh, okay. I only had a few things that I wanted to.
Yeah, but we tend to stretch out your 3 minutes.
No more questions?
No, thank you, Sandra.
Thank you.
Sandra?
That brings us to board member comments. Kate, you want to start us out?
Karen, I hope you have a great vacation. And thanks to everybody who stuck around. And that's it. Have a good week.
Yeah?
Just remember to be careful stepping outdoors, because Mr. Zeeb did do some salting, but there's a chance it could be slippery.
And the roads too.
Yes.
I don't have anything.
Thanks to everyone who joined us tonight and everyone watching. Hopefully you have been engaged on stuff, and let us know how you think about anything you heard tonight.
Brett stuck around, so I say thanks for joining the planning commission. Appreciate it.
It's a good warm-up for the planning commission meetings.
That's all.
Well, thank you all for listening to me prattle once again. And whoever's watching out there, you're welcome to comment by writing me at rkotke@bathtownship.us. That's it.
Nothing to add. Thank you for coming.
All right, are we ready to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn. Second.
Ray.
I knew he was gonna do that.
Motion and a second to adjourn. Any discussion? Seeing none, I will take a voice vote. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? We stand adjourned.
I will take it if you don't. Oh,
Yeah, there you go.
I told
I think it's
Samantha
filled
I
out
would
enough.
You know,
I don't want a card
I've
sold
done
out.
those things before.
Well, there's a couple things Sam says she is missing from you.